Welcome to our group today. I'm Chris Jackson, the host, and our presenter is Josh Thompson. We decided we wanted to start this series to help educate other fellow veterans about some needs of their business. And so this is going to be the first of mini series that we plan to do. We want it to be short and sweet and to the point. And I look forward to learning more about the other fellow business owners on this group page, and feel free to leave any comments in the chat. We'll be happy to get back to you and be a resource for you. So as I said, my name is Chris Jackson. I'm your host today. I work with Cambridge Financial Group. It's a firm here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I work nationwide as well. And I've been passionate about what I do for a long time. I've been in the Army National Guard almost 13 years. And I'm passionate about helping people with their finances. Josh, you want to take a couple of minutes and share a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? So my name is Joshua Thompson. I ended up starting my own firm, Thompson Tax Group, where I get more into the whole tax situation for business owners, individuals. We take more of a tax planning aspect of it rather than tax preparation. Even though we also do tax preparation, we really focus on tax planning, figure out what strategies you're not using, what credits you're not taking advantage of, what loopholes, any items like that. We really evaluate your entire tax situation, put it in a plan, and kind of deliver that to you so you know what to do going forward to put yourself in the best tax position. So we do that, and we also do a little bit of accounting services as well. And I believe my contact information is there as well, as long as with Chris's, if you guys want to reach out to us. I'll give it back to you, Chris.
Yeah, fantastic. And just like I said before, these are supposed to be short and to the point. You know, we don't want to take a half hour to go over these concepts. We really want us to give you some content, some information, to ask some questions and reach out to us individually if you want to know more. So our conversation today is going to be about LLCs and what are LLCs and when to use them. Our upcoming event, next topic will be buy-sell agreements 101. So we'll be talking more about that. I will be the presenter for that, and Josh will be the host. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a handoff where one of us will present and one of us will host. And so we should be able to see different topics from different perspectives. So with that, let's go into our first question. So Josh, our first question is, what is an LLC?
So really an LLC it stands for limited liability company. A lot of times people go into it for the protection aspect of it, but really over the past few years, it's really gained a lot of popularity because there's a lot of advantages for it.
Oh, great. So I guess the next question would be, well, why is it so popular?
Yeah. So a lot of people like the LLC because it's flexible. You have the option to choose from different aspects or how you want to be taxed. Granted, you do have to choose, but the flexibility is what a lot of people like because you're not just set in one entity, one stone. And what a lot of people don't know is really the LLC is regulated at the state level and not necessarily the IRS level. So the flexibility comes into place when you have to decide what entity you want to be taxed as.
Okay. Interesting. So when you're a new business owner, would you say, is LLC the first thing you should look at starting if you're a new business? I mean, because it's so popular, shouldn't it work for everybody, or is there specific people that would work better for?
Yeah. So really when you have a business, you want to look at what you're doing. Other aspects is how much you're making as well to determine if a LLC is really right for you, because at the end of the day, the LLC is not best for everyone. And you may say, hey, I need an LLC, but not, like I was saying earlier, realize what tax entity you want to be, because you could decide to be an LLC and then an S corporation or a C corporation or just be taxed differently. But it all depends on what you're doing, your profession, how much income you have, and really if you have any other assets you want to protect, because the LLC does give that protection that you can have.
Fantastic. So why is it so flexible? What are some of the key advantages of it over entities?
Yeah, Chris. So the really big thing why it's so flexible is because a lot of other entities, you're set in stone. You decide to be an S corporation right off the bat, you're S corporation from the end of time, unless you pay all this money with a lawyer and then file the necessary paperwork with your state to get that overturned and become a different entity. What an LLC allows you to do is you have basically an entity, and then that entity gets to decide whether it wants to be an S corporation, C corporation, or how it wants to be taxed as a sole proprietor, whatever it may be. And then if you decide to go S corporation and change your mind down the road, you could go back and change your mind to a C corporation, or go back and change your mind to a sole proprietor. So you have that flexibility to determine how you want to be taxed, instead of just saying, hey, I'm a C corporation, I'm locked in stone, now there's nothing much I can really do about it, now I have to worry about double taxation.
Okay, fantastic. And for some of our newer business owners, just to clarify, that they're, all of these different entities obviously have their own unique features and benefits. And it might be worth even having a series where we talk about those other entities, so that someone that might not really know what an S Corp is, can understand that better. So that might be a great segue into another. So drop some comments in the chat if you would be interested in hearing about any of those other entities or specifics about the features and benefits of those.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess another question says, how do I know if I should have an LLC? So I kind of asked that a little bit earlier, but
yeah, I can dive deeper into that.
Go into more detail now.
Yeah, let me dive a little bit deeper into that. So really, like I was saying earlier, it comes down to the profession, your income in that job, that profession, and also what other assets you may have. And I'll kind of touch on each three really quick. So really for the profession, it depends on what you're doing. If you're in a high risk profession where you want that liability protection, say doctor, say you're involved in real estate, you're in e-commerce, those are really big areas where you want to have your LLC. You want to have some protection on top of your insurance as well. And then also your income level. Like I was saying earlier, there's some benefits and there's pros and cons to an LLC. And one of the things is sometimes it's cost. If you're not making enough money to really justify the cost of an LLC, you may not even want to consider an LLC. A lot of times, if you're only looking at income-wise and you're disregarding the profession, you may want to start looking at an LLC roughly about $50,000 plus, depending on your situation. It always depends. I'm not going to give legal or tax advice, but it depends. And then lastly, what other assets you may have. If you have real estate and you're starting a separate business, you want to have an LLC, in my opinion, from day one to protect your other real estate assets from anything that may happen in the business. Say, for example, you start another business and you do have that real estate on the side. If someone sues this other business and you don't have an LLC and that can protect you, they can come after your personal assets or your real estate, your car, and other items as well. And that's why you would want to have an LLC if you have other assets to protect those other assets.
That's a great point. I know a lot of people that just get started or the sole proprietorship. And, there are benefits to that. But like you said, as you make more money, there's more at risk, right? And so that makes a lot of sense why LLC would be such a good choice for people that as their business is doing well. There's, of course, a lot of other tax reasons, which you would go over with your clients on why maybe a sole proprietorship isn't the best thing, right? For you. A lot of people just think, I'm just going to start, so it's kind of like a lemonade stand on the side of the road, right? You're going to start doing that. And it's much different when you actually have a service and you have invoices and you have all these other things. And now that you're trying to track all these expenses, right? There's a lot more complexity, and you want to make sure that you are protecting that asset, which is your business. Just like I do with the financial services. And then one thing we'll talk about next week is buy-sell agreements, protecting your business and your individual self as the business owner, rather than LLC actually protecting and being the vehicle of your business. So that's kind of how they can kind of work together. So the last question we have is what revenue should I have to consider an LLC? You kind of already brought that up. So I just want to clarify. So you said about $50,000 would be a good ballpark range, right? Yeah. Obviously, it depends on industry. And so when you say $50,000, let me just clarify this. Are you referring to revenue, or are you referring to the income that the business owner is taking? Because those are two different things, right?
Oh, definitely. Two huge different things. And you bring up a really good point. I would say about $50,000 when we're looking at gross. Once we see $50,000 in gross revenue, like I said, if you're not following certain professions where you need to be looking at LLC from day one, then maybe around $50,000 gross, you want to be like, okay, I need to start thinking of an LLC. would be beneficial for me kind of moving forward. Now, if you're making $50,000 gross and you're not taking home a dollar, then you want to look at more of the profession and see if you need this protection now or not. But I would say about $50,000, start looking and keeping in the back of your mind, start thinking about, okay, maybe time for an LLC because that amount of cash will justify the cost.
Awesome. Fantastic. Great information. And we kind of already went on that, tell you what businesses should consider an LLC. And you brought up that basically business varies for business, but really it comes down to income, right? So with that, is there any other final thoughts or any questions from the chat? You guys feel free to put them down and we'll go into that Q&A right now. So we'll go straight into that. And thank you guys for listening to our presentation. If you don't have any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out to us in the future, but we'll go ahead right now and look at some of the questions we may have from the chat. So we'll do that right now.